The cold snow falls over a massive graveyard of fallen soldiers across the frozen ground. Blood drips from his lips as the realization of a fatal wound sets into his mind today. That holy sword pierced his heart with enough force to end any mortal or demonic creature. Exhausted warriors catch their breath after finally bringing down the most dangerous man alive. Legends call him the devil of this continent because of the terror he spread for years. Necromancer Archimond stands covered in arrows but refuses to fall before his enemy's eyes. Deep inside he knows that death is knocking and his long journey ends right here tonight. 10 long years of war conclude with this crushing defeat for the master of the undead army. Burkle Rainland walks forward with the heavy armor of the Northern Night Order shining bright. This hero claims his victory belongs to every person who fought against the darkness until now. Sacrifice from thousands allowed that holy blade to finally reach the heart of the great evil. Peace seems possible if the necromancer simply gives up his life for the sake of humanity. Archimond screams with pure hatred against the hypocrisy of those who claim to be righteous. He reminds them how they watched everyone die from the plague without moving a single finger. His icy glare promises that these self-proclaimed heroes are nothing more than pathetic dogs. His eyes burn with pure hatred as he calls every single one of those bastards out for being fake. Dark energy explodes from his body as Burkle prepares to finish every human standing in his path right now. Soldiers tremble in fear because they never expected this monster to have such overwhelming power left. Foul necromancy leaks into the air even though his physical body is already at its absolute limit. Archimond demands a ceasefire, but the tension is far too high for anyone to simply back down today. 20 million souls were sacrificed to create an unstoppable undead army that started this entire brutal war. Blood drips down his face, yet he just laughs because the world is far more twisted than they think. Revenge is the only thing fueling his soul after his entire hometown was turned into a graveyard. Silence fills the battlefield as the night questions if the protagonist has truly lost his mind to darkness. Sunlight reflects off the sharp steel of a blade that carries the weight of 1,000 fallen comrades. This noble warrior claims he fights for the innocent children who deserve a world without any more blood. Shock washes over Burkle as several weapons pierce through his armor and lock him in place. Their conflicting convictions clash in the freezing wind until only the truth remains between these two rivals. A corrupted reflection stares back from the knight's eyes, revealing how much of a monster he truly became. Blinding light finally breaks through the dark clouds to signal the end of this legendary and tragic era. This beautiful warrior looks down with eyes full of light as she prepares to end a long legacy for her people. Blood stains the cold floor as the defeated monster finally drops to his knees after a brutal battle for survival. Burkle stands tall with her glowing blade ready to finish the job and bring peace back to this broken world. Clanging sounds echo through the area as she suddenly tosses her holy sword aside without any hesitation at all. Her hand reaches for a cursed purple blade that hums with a dark power meant for only one final execution. She asks the fallen man for his last words before the edge of her steel sends him to the depths of hell. A twisted smile appears on his face as he reminds her that a necromancer never truly stays dead in the end. Shadows explode everywhere as the killing blow descends to wipe his existence from the face of the planet forever. Gravity pulls her down as she strikes with perfect grace to ensure her target never draws another breath again. Cold steel meets its mark as her eyes focus on the exact moment the life leaves his wretched body at last. A massive shockwave shakes the ground as the soldiers scream that the great evil Archimond is finally dead. Darkness consumes his vision as the sound of the cheering crowd is the last thing he hears before total silence. Every single warrior raises their fists in victory as the nightmare that haunted them for years vanishes away. 10 years of endless war finally reach a conclusion after the legendary devil of the continent is taken down. Fate finally claims the life of the necromancer Archimond as his dark soul drifts into the eternal void. A soul drifts through the vast emptiness of the universe as fate prepares a brand new journey for him. Thunder roars across the dark sky above a massive estate where a miracle is about to unfold inside the walls. These two servants can hardly believe their eyes as they witness the little master finally making a sound today. Small lips quiver for the first time and a confused mind struggles to understand this strange new reality. Master Klein wakes up in a luxurious room surrounded by people who treat him like the most precious treasure alive. One maid shows him a golden locket containing the beautiful face of the Duchess who happens to be his new mother. His tiny limbs feel heavy and restricted because he is still stuck in the weak body of a helpless infant. Every ounce of his concentration goes into forming words that will prove he is no ordinary child in this world. Confusion turns into pure excitement for the girls as they realize the young genius is already trying to talk. Instead of a cute baby sound, he bellows a dark incantation to summon his eternal guardians from the abyss. Terror strikes their hearts as the locket falls to the floor since the air grows cold from his demonic command. Jagged bolts of electricity tear through the clouds to answer the call of a master who has just returned. The fountain shatters under the weight of heavenly lightning that marks the rebirth of a legendary entity. 15 years pass in the blink of an eye as the sun shines brightly over the now peaceful garden grounds. Group of maids gather around to whisper about the handsome man who just walked past them with unmatched grace. Steps echo on the stone as people whisper about the legendary beauty of the silver hair approaching them. This young man looks like a masterpiece carved by the gods themselves as he strolls through the palace. Maids cannot stop gossiping about how blindingly handsome young Master Klein appears under the morning sun. Sudden cold water splashes over his head before he can even react to the mysterious presence behind him. Priest Veerman roars for the evil spirit to vanish as he dumps a whole bucket of water on the boy. That scarred face belongs to a holy commander who claims he saw the gaze of a demon inside the child. Terrified girls watch the dripping mess as the priest celebrates a successful purification ritual just in time. Metal clanks as the boy removes the bucket and asks why this useless ritual happens every single year. Ancient legends say the soul of a monster named Archimond rests within him, requiring constant holy cleansing. Another blast of water hits his face because the stubborn priest insists he saw a demonic smile just now. Wet and cold, the protagonist honestly wonders if this old man has lost his entire mind today. Insults fly as the boy walks away and mutters about how crazy this entire situation feels for him. Catch him right now, the priest screams as the guards begin a frantic chase through the garden grounds. Legs move fast as Klein shouts that he is just a normal human who refuses to take another bath. Everything fades into floating bubbles of memory because the person he used to be definitely died long ago. Imagine waking up as a baby after losing your head and screaming Archimond's necromancy spells to the entire world. Life gets even worse when a mysterious man appears claiming to be a high-ranking priest from the legendary Holy Order. A massive shadow looms over the boy as a powerful priest prepares to take charge of his questionable soul. Priest Garrison greets young Master Klein with a smile that promises nothing but pain and endless holy discipline. Nightmares become reality when the priest forces him to endure 24 hours of non-stop chanting without a break. Buckets of ice and stinking garlic crash into the bathtub to freeze every single demonic thought out of his body. Holy fire consumes the room as Garrison ties the boy to a cross for a purification show that feels like literal hell. Brutal torture masquerades as religious tradition until the protagonist loses all hope of ever finding peace again. 5 years of constant abuse leave the boy looking like a hollow shell of a human sitting in the middle of a party. Maid Erin prays for her master to grow strong despite the madness surrounding their everyday life in this mansion. Trauma haunts his empty gaze during the holy prayer because his soul is completely shattered from the training. Our hero loses his mind and throws the colorful hat across the room to vent his frustration at this crazy world. Tears well up in the young maid's eyes as she watches the handmade gift hit the floor with a sad thud. Guilt crushes his heart when he thinks about how hard she worked to create a special birthday surprise for him. Erin reveals that the priest actually made the hat and now our protagonist wants to destroy it even more than before. Someone picks up a strange party hat from the floor as a red-haired girl watches the suspicious scene from behind. Klein looks absolutely disgusted by the piece of trash in his hands since he has no intention of following alone. Suddenly a massive priest named Garrison enters the room to check on his young master with a very serious expression. Heavy tears fall down his face because he spent a whole week knitting that ridiculous hat with his own hands. Laughter erupts as the boy destroys the knitted gift with his bare hands just to prove he will never wear it. Voices argue about some ancient evil soul while the boy tells him to shut up and stop acting so dramatic. Captain Dunkel from the Red Chariot Knights arrives to ask if the holy purification ritual is finally over. Rumors about the boy being a legendary demon have been spreading around the kingdom for more than 10 years now. Even the Holy Order claims he is clean, but the little monster keeps trying to bite the priest's face off. Garrison drops the kid on the floor like a sack of potatoes to show respect to the powerful captain. Anger consumes the boy as he watches this hypocrite act so polite to a knight for no reason at all. Politics seem to be a specialty of the young lord as the priest prepares to leave him behind. A dark shadow falls over his scarred face as he pauses for a second to deliver one last warning. Tension fills the air because there is always a tiny possibility that the demon's soul is still hiding inside. Footsteps echo through the hallway as the mysterious man walks away and leaves the boy alone with his thoughts. This annoying priest waves goodbye after scheduling another painful ritual for next Friday. Exhaustion takes over as the young master gasps for air under the watchful eyes of his staff. His body drops onto the soft couch with a heavy thud because the training was way too intense. Frustration boils inside him as he wonders if that supposed man of God is actually a torturer. The cute maid offers a towel but asks a dangerous question about his secret identity as Archimond. Panic strikes the boy as he swears that he hates even hearing that cursed name mentioned out loud. Lies are the only way to survive because admitting the truth would lead to even more suffering. 7 long years of isolation in a monastery followed him since the moment he reincarnated here. A return to the Duke estate was the goal, but now he must face a terrifying proxy from the church. Curiosity sparkles in her eyes as the girl wonders if a proxy is some kind of high-ranking noble. Silence fills the room as the male servant prepares to explain the dark truth behind that title. Only the strongest warriors in the Holy Order can claim that position of power over the masses. That muscle monster walks away with a presence that rivals the legendary strength of House Rainland. Excitement radiates from the maid since she finally realizes just how overpowered his family is. Everything stops when she asks who is actually the strongest duke among all his scary relatives. This man claims all dukes were great but admits the 7th one is just second best. Someone tries to defend the 7th duke because he is the father of the boy. Silence fills the room as the boy declares that only the 1st duke remains the strongest. That bold statement leaves the loyal servant completely speechless for a moment. Everyone agrees since the young master seems to have a very special bond with history. His eyes remain glued to that old portrait hanging on the wall of this grand hall. 200 years passed since the legendary founder established this powerful bloodline. Archimond the Necromancer finally accepts the reality of his bizarre new situation. Portraits of all 7 generations line the dark corridors of this ancient mansion. Golden hair and a cold gaze define the man who started everything centuries ago. Burkle Rainland stands tall in his armor holding the sword that conquered a kingdom. Fate plays a cruel joke as the protagonist wakes up in the body of his murderer's kin. Memories of that vicious battlefield return as Burkle screams the name of his rival. This warrior fought with a single goal in mind during their final confrontation. A massive slash of energy erupts to protect the future of every child in this world. That legendary holy blade descends with enough force to shatter the soul of the most powerful necromancer in history. Klein bolts upright in bed with his heart racing like a drum after experiencing that brutal nightmare once again today. Sweat pours down his face as he tries to catch his breath in the silent luxury of this royal bedroom tonight. This boy was once known as Archimond, the devil of the continent who brought entire nations to their knees with ease. 200 years passed and he was somehow reborn as the direct descendant of the very man who finished his life. His fingers run through the silver hair that still feels completely wrong for a man who used to be a dark god. Priest Garrison looms in the corner like a hungry predator while mentioning that the young lord was talking in his sleep. A scarred face asks if those dreams were actually memories of the ancient necromancer who terrorized the world. Our hero attempts to play it cool, but the sudden arrival of his loud maid ruins any chance of a peaceful morning today. Erin screams at the top of her lungs that she heard every single word of his dark sleep talking from outside the door. Everyone watches as she mimics his commands to destroy the continent and kill every living soul in their path right now. Butler Veerman interrupts the chaos to announce that the royal swordsmanship demonstration is about to begin very soon. Holy flames erupt around the priest as he decides that this boy needs double the purification time to save his soul. Desperation takes over as our hero tries to shut the girl up before his secret life is revealed to the entire palace. The boy's voice echoes through the massive estate as he curses that crazy priest for making his new life a literal living hell. Klein wonders about the sudden invitation to a swordsmanship demonstration. Veerman explains that the Duke himself requested his presence for this event. Erin spots a small treat and asks if she can keep it for herself. Old Veerman scolds her for being rude, but the boy tells him to relax. That cute maid stuffs her face with a cookie as the old man stays silent. Golden chandeliers glow as our hero questions why his father is acting strange. Several members from the branch families have arrived at the mansion today. Icy glares follow the boy as he considers the arrival of these guests. Arrogant pests begin to whisper and mock his presence in the grand hall. These idiots laugh and bark his cursed name just to get a reaction. Maternal cousins mock his years of isolation within that cold monastery. Northern relatives from a distant branch only care about devouring meat. Western cousins watch from the shadows as a mysterious girl waits for him. This blonde beauty sits with perfect poise and looks down on everyone. Sharp eyes analyze her cold gaze as those bastards think he is deaf. These annoying relatives actually think they can talk down to the direct heir of this powerful family. Anger flares up as they scream about him ignoring his elders during this very awkward conversation. Our hero barely remembers their names since this entire house is basically crumbling into pieces right now. The pathetic state of his relatives makes it clear why everyone looks down on the boy today. Wooden swords clash in the middle of the hall as two young warriors test their skills against each other. Dalton grits his teeth with pure rage because his opponent is playing around with him like a child. One reckless swing after another fails to reach the target as the purple-haired boy loses his cool. Screams of frustration echo through the room as he demands a real fight without any more holding back. Blinding speed allows Del-Lin to dodge every single strike before claiming this match is already finished. Hope for the future of the Rainland name rests entirely on the shoulders of this one blonde genius. Del-Lin happens to be the eldest son and the prodigy half-brother of our silent protagonist. Sparks fly from the impact as the legendary reputation of their swordsmanship house hangs by a thread. Reckless energy drives the boy forward to prove he is not just another weak loser in this house. Purple eyes glow with a mysterious light as Archimond observes human sword techniques for the first time. A final strike cuts through the air to determine who truly deserves to lead the next generation of knights. Suddenly a young man moves like a blur across the training hall as if gravity no longer exists for him today. Lightning-fast steps carry him toward the target before any ordinary warrior can even track his insane speed. Purple light flickers deep within his pupils as he analyzes every single opening in his opponent's weak defense. Perfect footwork creates a dance of death as green energy swirls around his heavy boots with every single step. Dust explodes from the floor at the exact moment he pushes off to deliver a crushing blow that nobody can block. This bastard is way too fast, the purple-haired warrior screams as he tries to land a lucky strike against the boy. Mana flows through his veins like a raging river as he prepares the secret technique of the legendary Rainland family. Meteor sword strikes down from above like a falling star to shatter the spirit of the man standing in its way. Total silence falls over the training grounds because the duel ended in the blink of an eye without any effort. That smug face tells the whole story as he mocks his rival for thinking this fight would ever be a challenge. Every witness stands frozen with sweat dripping down their faces after seeing such a high-level move from a kid. Klein rubs his eye in confusion, wondering if he just saw a glimpse of his own dark power reflecting back at him. Someone shouts his name from across the grand hall as the light from the massive chandelier blinds him for a second. Big Brother approaches with a bright smile to ask why he was hiding in the shadows of the room this entire time. Reinland's golden boy claims he would have fought even harder if he knew his little brother was actually watching. Klein stares at the guy who has it all and wonders why the Branch family is back to cause trouble again. These people probably just came to leech more money as our hero keeps observing the annoying interaction nearby. The seventh head of the house finally appears and praises the golden boy for his incredible mastery today. That man is the current ruler of the estate and also the father of the boy standing in the middle. A rare smile appears on his face since his favorite son worked so hard to achieve such amazing results recently. Watching them together makes it clear that Del-Lin is the only source of pride left for this powerful duke. Even the guards are shocked because this level of mana precision is something most knights could only dream of. Del-Lin acts humble and claims he is still not good enough despite being a total monster on the battlefield. Voices echo through the hall as the Duke reminds them about the sacred words of the legendary founder Burkle. Loyalty burns in the eyes of the young master as he vows to continue devoting his life to the family. Cold eyes suddenly shift toward Klein as the atmosphere in the room turns heavy and suffocating for everyone. The pressure is real as he waits for a judgment that always feels like a sharp blade against his soul. A massive hand reaches out to touch his head, but there is no warmth in this simple fatherly gesture today. This powerful man admits he still cannot feel a single drop of mana coming from his own son after all these years. Apologies are the only thing left for a boy who feels like a worthless burden with zero potential to succeed. Someone apologizes to His Grace because young Master Klein wasted his best years locked away in a boring monastery. Whispers fill the ballroom as people spread rumors about the second son having absolutely zero mana in his body. Greed shines in their eyes as the branch families plan to take over since the direct descendants are clearly incompetent. Steps echo across the floor as the protagonist ignores every single petty insult thrown at his back by these insects. Burkle once claimed he fought for the future of every child, but he never saw how rotten his lineage would become. Rage bubbles under the surface as his fist clenches tight enough to draw blood from his own palms right now. His eyes scan the room as he wonders if the legendary hero truly died just to protect such a pathetic bunch of losers. Most of the guests laugh and wave goodbye and leave the young master alone in the middle of this toxic viper pit. A cocky noble blocks his path and mocks the Rainland name because the boy cannot even lift a simple practice sword. This idiot claims the protagonist is a total disgrace to the family bloodline as he shows off a disgusting smirk. Klein identifies this trash as Dalton Cornwell and mentions his secret affairs with girls behind the grand ballroom. Panic washes over the bully as he wonders how this useless kid discovered his dirty little secrets so easily today. Our hero moves with perfect precision and extends his leg to trip the arrogant bastard before he can react in time. Gravity takes over as Dalton slams face first into the expensive carpet and everyone watches his humiliating fall. The boy walks away and points out that this loser is just venting his frustration after getting crushed by someone else. This arrogant trash finally crosses the line by insulting the mother of our powerful protagonist right now. His eyes ignite with a demonic flame that promises a very painful death for anyone who dares to speak again. Fear instantly paralyzes the bully as he realizes that the quiet boy is actually a sleeping monster in disguise. That golden portrait reminds him how this noble bloodline has truly lost its way over the last few centuries. Dark thoughts swirl inside his mind while he wonders how the descendants of a hero became such pathetic losers today. Fate must be laughing because the family of the man who killed him is now filled with nothing but garbage humans. Captain Dunkel finally steps in to stop this embarrassing circus before someone actually ends up losing their life. This veteran warrior demands silence since he refuses to tolerate any more disrespect within these palace walls. Dalton grits his teeth in pure frustration because he knows he cannot win a fight against a real knight commander. Cowardice shines through his words as the villain claims the young master only survived because of his escort knight. The bully runs away like a scared dog and barks at the servants to keep a tiny bit of his dignity intact tonight. Tension lingers in the air as the captain keeps his hand on his blade to ensure peace remains for a while longer. Silence follows the chaos and the boy stares into the distance with a gaze that carries centuries of experience. Dunkel watches the young lord closely because he senses a presence far more dangerous than a simple spoiled child. The boy breaks the quiet and asks for a spare sword since he is finally ready to show them his true power. Captain Dunkel hands over a real blade since the young master is finally ready to test his skills in the dark tonight. This veteran knight wonders why the boy needs a dangerous weapon so late while the moon hangs high above the empty field. Movements of the legendary meteor sword flash through his mind as he tries to replicate that perfect swing from earlier. Our hero tells the captain to go back inside first because he has one final thing to check before the night is over. That old warrior sighs because he knows Master Klein was born with a body that is completely devoid of mana right now. Legends say a man without energy can never become a knight even if he belongs to the most prestigious family in history. Every detail of the secret move is perfect, but pulling off the Duke's technique should be totally impossible for him. Vision becomes strangely clear as the boy closes his eyes to focus on every single detail he witnessed in the training hall. Footwork and timing and the perfect arc of the blade all come together in a symphony of pure destruction within his mind. Demonic energy crackles around his iris as the ancient necromancer finally awakens the dormant power inside this weak body. Dunkel stops in his tracks as a massive shockwave ripples through the air with enough force to shake the entire estate. Cold sweat drips down his face because this suffocating aura feels like a literal god of death has arrived on the grounds. Disbelief fills his wide eyes as the knight questions if the useless second son is actually hiding a world-ending secret. Purple flames erupt as the sword descends to obliterate the massive rock into a million tiny pieces with one single strike. Those purple eyes reveal the truth that the most dangerous man alive has finally mastered the art of the human sword today. Dark mana surges through his veins as he grips the blade with the strength of a former demonic king. A massive shockwave echoes through the training canyon after he unleashes a hidden power from his past life. The young master turns around with a cold gaze that makes the servants tremble in his presence today. Klein smirks because he finally confirmed that his ancient necromancy techniques still function in this new body. Aaron watches with wide eyes as her master exhibits a level of intensity she has never seen before now. Even the terrifying priest Garrison looks stunned by the sudden change in the atmosphere around the young lord. Everything stops as the boy gets shoved back into a bucket of water for another round of holy purification. Garrison mentions that the boy can hold his breath for over a minute, which is impossible for a normal human. Klein explodes out of the water and gasps for air as the priest mocks him for being a total fish. This supposed man of God claims he felt an ominous aura coming from the boy's bedroom earlier this morning. Aaron quickly offers a warm towel to her master and worries about how much he can actually take today. A messenger arrives with a sealed letter and announces that Lord Dalton has sent a special invitation. Our hero dries his hair and wonders why that arrogant bully would even bother reaching out to him right now. Memories of the previous fight flash through his mind as he questions if that bastard is truly apologizing. His fingers trace the edges of the paper as he considers if this invitation is actually a trap in disguise. Klein holds a mysterious invitation to a hunting competition and wonders why his brother wants him there today. This suspicious letter looks like a simple excuse to pull him out of the safety of the mansion and into the wild. Veerman asks if the young master truly intends to attend such a dangerous event after all the recent drama. Our hero claims there is no reason to refuse since he finally has a secret weapon ready for his enemies. His gaze falls upon a simple blade leaning against the wall that will soon become a tool for absolute destruction. Every single move of Delane plays in his mind like a high-definition recording that he can never forget. Such a bizarre ability to copy any technique is a talent that even a Dark Lord finds quite shocking. A massive boulder splits in two during his secret training because his physical potential is finally starting to awaken. The loyal butler remains silent as he observes the strange change in the young master's behavior and sharp focus. Preparation for the carriage begins and the boy wonders what kind of beasts he will encounter in the dark woods. Priest Garrison suddenly offers to accompany the group and Klein immediately suspects another one of his crazy schemes. That scarred face remains calm as he ignores the insults and stares at the boy with a very intense expression. Cold wind blows through the hall as the man of God claims that something feels very different about the world today. An ominous aura surrounds the area and the priest wants to ensure that no evil spirits interfere with the competition. Wheels spin across the dirt path as the carriage departs for a hunt that might change the fate of the Rainland family. Poor Aaron is turning green from motion sickness as the carriage bumps along the dusty path today. Garrison offers a soft pillow with a creepy smile, thinking the young lord finally showed some mercy. Rough terrain across the western forest makes this journey a nightmare for anyone who lacks a stomach of steel. A quick nap might help settle the stomach, according to the words of this scarred priest. Emotions overwhelm the old priest, who thinks the boy is being kind until he points to the sick maid. Reflections of the outside world dance in his eyes as he recalls how much blood soaked this very earth. Green trees and beautiful sunlight cover the hills as the world continues to heal after centuries of pain. Memories of a frozen wasteland covered in thousands of rotting corpses flash before his ancient eyes right now. 200 years changed this bloody battlefield into a peaceful paradise that hides the scars of the past. Burkle truly left a different world behind, and his legacy is written in every single leaf of this forest. Sudden sunlight hits the carriage as a guard announces that the group has finally arrived at their destination. Cornwell family estate looms ahead with massive towers that reach for the sky like hungry giants of stone. Fresh air smells like wealth and arrogance while the poor maid continues to suffer from her motion sickness. Every corner of this place looks more expensive than the main house of the three great duchies combined. Wealthy nobles waste a fortune on a simple hunting game for children just to prove they have more gold than brains. Someone shouts his name as the silver-haired boy turns his head to see who is interrupting his peace right now. Dalton emerges from the shadows with a pack of massive black hounds that look ready to tear anything to pieces today. This arrogant jerk mocks the expensive architecture that was paid for with money stolen from the main family line. These beasts growl with hunger, but the villain wonders if a monastery boy even knows how the real world works anymore. Klein observes those starving animals and asks why they are wasting time talking instead of starting the competition. A malicious smirk covers his face because he already prepared a cruel game for someone as impatient as our hero. Metal rings clatter against the stone floor as his hand finally releases the heavy leashes of those demonic creatures. Claws scrape against the ground as the pack of hounds charges forward to satisfy their animalistic instincts at once. Slabs of raw meat cover the mountain path because the young master scattered bait to drive the animals into a frenzy. Starving dogs possess a sense of smell 100,000 times stronger than any human alive on this planet today. That bowstring stretches to the limit as the villain watches his pets chase the scent with madness in their dark eyes. Sharpwood pierces through the air and strikes a target with enough force to make the beast scream in agony right now. Multiple arrows fly through the sky to turn those innocent animals into target practice for a bored and cruel noble. Laughter echoes through the area as Dalton celebrates a successful hunt as his shadows smile at the brutal display. Erin runs through the corridor looking for her young master before stumbling upon this suspicious and bloody scene. This arrogant brat Dalton decides to mess with the cute maid Erin just to provoke our protagonist right now. A twisted smirk covers his face as he wonders what a useless girl like her could even do for a weak master. Rough fingers grab her hair and he demands she follows him to perform some other boring tasks for his amusement. Cold steel fingers clamp down on his wrist as Klein suddenly appears to put this bully in his place today. Pure killing intent radiates from his eyes as he promises to snap that arm like a dry twig if he stays. Dalton pulls back with a nervous laugh, trying to act like his heart isn't beating out of his chest right now. "Stop acting so tough," he screams before turning toward his horse to escape this terrifying and heavy atmosphere. Heavy boots kick the side of his mount as the villain prepares to lead the boy into a secret trap. "Follow me if you dare," he shouts while riding away with a desperate smile on his pathetic and sweaty face. Klein hops onto his horse and orders the knight to stay behind and protect the maid at any cost. His hand reveals a yellow paper as he passes a vital tool to his loyal guard during this tense moment. That signal magic scroll allows anyone to call for help even if they possess 0 drops of mana in their body. Our hero mentions that the creepy priest Garrison followed him all this way for a very suspicious reason. If that man disappears, the knight must tear the paper and a glowing crest will alert the master instantly. Dust clouds rise as the young lord chases after the bully to finish this annoying family drama once and for all. The Duke stares into the distance with a heavy heart as the weight of the family's future crushes his spirit today. Darkness begins to swallow the horizon while the chilling wind whispers a warning about the coming bloodshed tonight. Klein races through the dark woods because the scent of danger hangs heavy in the frozen air as he searches for his target. Sharp eyes scan every shadow for a sign of the man who dared to challenge the authority of the main bloodline today. Dalton waits in the clearing with a twisted smile as he licks the fresh blood from the edge of his cold steel blade. Our hero slides off his horse and wonders what kind of pathetic trap this arrogant loser is trying to pull right now. Confusion flashes across his face as he notices something disturbing lying on the cold grass under the pale moonlight. 2 lifeless hounds rot in the dirt as a grim reminder that this peaceful hunt has turned into a literal murder scene. This coward claims that the grand finale of their little competition is about to reach a very bloody conclusion today. Pure madness burns in his eyes as he declares that his final prey for the evening is actually the young lord himself. Madness drives him to promise he will deliver a severed head to the eldest brother after this brutal execution tonight. Rainland blood is nothing more than an empty shell to this traitor who thinks power is the only thing that matters today. A simple snap of his fingers signals the hidden mercenaries to emerge from the darkness and surround our lonely hero now. These rats believe the entire dukedom belongs to the Branch family because they only care about stealing gold and land. Dozens of lethal arrows point directly at his heart as the villain mocks the very blood that runs through his veins. Klein stares at the fool and finally understands that some people just love digging their own graves today. Dalton laughs with a twisted expression while imagining the news of the Rainland family falling into absolute ruin. This arrogant brat claims the young master will end up as nothing more than food for the dogs by tomorrow morning. Memories of a noble vow to protect the children of the future flicker through the mind of the former necromancer. A sudden sound escapes the boy's lips as he finds this entire situation far too hilarious to stay quiet anymore. Our hero bursts into a maniacal laughter that echoes through the room and chills the bones of everyone standing nearby. The bully freezes with a confused face and asks if the powerless young lord has truly lost every single bit of his sanity. His hand covers his face, but the dark joy in his voice proves that he is about to unleash something truly terrifying. 2 souls merge into one terrifying presence as the ancient devil looks down on the reckless brat who forgot his place. Pure terror washes over the bully as the atmosphere in the training hall suddenly turns heavy enough to crush his spirit. Archimond's voice warns that he sacrificed his own life for this family and will not tolerate any more pathetic insults. Swirling currents of blue energy erupt around the boy's body to signal the return of a power that the world forgot. Red light fills the sky as the villain screams about the boy having no mana left to perform such a high-level magic spell. Ancient Magi burns like a cold flame in his hair because this dark energy is far superior to any normal human magic. Wind blasts the onlookers away as they wonder what kind of monster has been hiding inside the second master this whole time. Confusion strikes as a blue eye widens upon hearing the forbidden name of the legendary Magi. His lips curl into a sinister smirk while calling the ancient evil spirits buried under the heavy passage of time. Blue energy erupts as he commands these forgotten souls to rise from the depths and step into the light once more. Skulls of the fallen swirl in a cyclone of spectral fire ready to devour every single thing in their path. Someone watches in pure horror as they realize the impossible truth of the monster standing right before them. Massive skeletons emerge from the shadows to serve the man whose name used to make the entire world tremble with fear. Archimond orders his undead army to consume every last drop of life until nothing remains but empty dust. Everything goes dark as he reflects on the power he thought was lost to the void of a previous life. Shadows stretch across the floor revealing the piles of bone that mark the legacy of his destructive past. 200 years of silence cannot erase the memory of walking through a literal graveyard of his own making. Blood-red hands reach from the abyss as they overlap endlessly in the suffocating darkness of his mind. Voices of the dead scream from below as they recognize the master who once ruled over their eternal suffering. This resonance feels like a familiar wave of power washing over his new and fragile human body today. Dark energy clenches his heart as that nostalgic sensation of pure necromancy finally returns to his fingertips. Panic consumes the room because the legendary devil Archimond is no longer just a story for children to fear. His lips curl into a sinister grin as he finally admits that legendary name belonged to him in a past life. Cold winds howl through the dark clouds as the atmosphere shifts into something truly terrifying tonight. These mercenaries exchange nervous glances because they always thought those stories were just fairy tales. Shadows manifest behind the young master to reveal a small squad of rattling soldiers from the grave. A hollow skull screeches with an unholy sound while its sockets burn with a flickering crimson light. This arrogant noble stares at the summoned creatures without feeling even a single drop of fear in his heart. Laughter erupts across the battlefield because these men think a few skeletons are just a pathetic joke today. That brat actually thinks he is a threat after bringing out such useless trash to face a real army. Mercenaries boast about how many undead they crushed during their past missions across the border. Those greedy fools decide to take the bones home as souvenirs since they expect an easy victory over the boy. Orders echo through the ranks to eliminate every single obstacle standing in the way of their greedy goals. Longbowmen draw their strings tight to ensure a rain of steel descends upon the center of the clearing. Archimond stands perfectly still as the sound of heavy crossbows loading fills the silent evening air. One soldier focuses his sights on the target to deliver a killing blow that should finish this fight instantly. Sharp bolts fly through the sky with lethal speed as the command to fire signals the start of a total massacre. A literal rain of arrows descends from the dark sky to wipe out everything in its path today. Our hero stands perfectly still since death approaches from above without moving a single muscle to defend himself. Cold blue eyes reflect the sharp steel of those flying projectiles since time seems to slow down to a crawl. Heavy arrows strike the ground with a massive impact, but something mysterious blocks every single strike from reaching him. This arrogant loser laughs, thinking that his pathetic trap finally turned the young master into a bloody pulp right now. Sudden realization washes over his face because the dust settles to reveal a scene that shouldn't be possible at all. Sharp points of steel are frozen mid-air as an invisible wall of dark energy protects the protagonist from harm. Ghostly skeletons with burning red eyes rise from the shadows to form an impenetrable wall of bones and ancient steel. 2 centuries pass and it seems these humans have forgotten the terror of the legendary undead army that once ruled. These weaklings tremble in fear because they never expected a useless kid to summon such powerful guardians from the abyss. He admits that normal skeletons might be weak, but his summons are a completely different breed of pure nightmare today. A wicked smile spreads across his face before he prepares to show these fools the true meaning of absolute despair. Terror paralyzes his heart as he watches the dark presence of a true monster awaken inside the body of a child. Witness Burkle before the first defensive formation is released to unleash a new era of terror upon these lands today. Those who mocked the future you died for will now die as he commands his entire undead legion to attack with full force. Klein clenches his fist and promises to crush every single one of those arrogant fools under his absolute power today. Undead warriors erupt from the shadows as they rush forward with a hunger for blood that hasn't been satisfied in centuries. Dalton stares in pure disbelief as the nightmare unfolding before his eyes turns his entire world upside down in an instant. Skeletons are usually slow, but these monsters move with the speed of a professional athlete chasing down a golden prize. Terror consumes the guards as they struggle to maintain a formation against an army that simply refuses to stay dead tonight. Sharp steel tears through flesh and bone as one unlucky soldier realizes his life is slipping away into the cold dark void. Chaos reigns supreme on the battlefield, and the sound of metal clashing against bone creates a symphony of pure destruction. Splattered blood covers the face of the young noble who finally understands that he messed with the wrong person this time. Our protagonist issues another chilling command as the second unit of undead soldiers prepares to strike from the trees. Crossbows click into place above the heads of the confused men who never thought to look up into the dark branches tonight. Bony fingers pull back the heavy strings of weapons that carry the weight of 1,000 ancient curses meant for his enemies. Screams of pure agony echo through the air as the soldiers realize there is absolutely nowhere left for them to hide now. One single word is enough to seal their fate forever, because the master of necromancy shows zero mercy to his pathetic prey. Black bolts fly through the wind like a swarm of angry hornets seeking the hearts of every living soul standing on the grass. Death rains down from above as the projectiles find their marks and turn the once proud warriors into a pile of cold corpses. Screams of agony echo through the air as arrows pierce through the flesh of every single soldier on the front lines today. These brave warriors struggle against massive skeletal monsters that refuse to die even after taking a direct hit to the neck. Panic washes over the young fighter because these monsters are far more terrifying than anything he ever saw in the legends. "Drop your crossbows and prepare for close quarters combat," the leader yells as he desperately tries to save his falling unit. His voice cracks under the pressure of 1,000 dead eyes watching his every move in the middle of this dark battlefield. A sinister grin creeps across his face as he prepares to show these humans why they should never challenge his power. "Die, you undead bastards," he screams while swinging his sharp blade with enough force to shatter the very earth beneath him. Steel meets bone and the skull of a monster falls to the ground with a heavy thud after a perfect execution. Laughter erupts from his lips because he truly believes that cutting off their heads is the only secret to victory today. Death swings back with a massive blade that nearly slices the overconfident warrior in half before he can even blink. Total confusion hits him as he realizes the monster is still moving despite having no head attached to its rotting neck. Archimond whispers through the shadows and mocks their ignorance about the true nature of his demonic creations. Normal rules of life and death do not apply here because these skeletons are built to survive any kind of physical damage. Cold fingers reach down to pick up the fallen skull as if it were nothing more than a simple hat on the floor. This unstoppable legion of the dead was the primary reason why the great Necromancer conquered the entire continent. Confusion strikes the mercenary as he realizes the monster can simply reattach its own skull like a broken toy. These spiritual bodies follow every command with a level of tactical precision that defies all laws of nature tonight. Despair washes over the man who cannot understand how these bony nightmares keep rising from the cold dirt over and over. Shadows dance around the young master as his legion of the dead continues to push forward without feeling a single drop of pain. This weak human body limits his power because he can only maintain 11 high-level servants at the same time right now. Cold eyes scan the survivors since he wonders if they are actually ready to continue this one-sided massacre in the woods. Terrifying screams echo through the dark forest as another soul falls victim to the sharp blades of the undead army tonight. Laughter fills the air back at the luxurious mansion where the staff remains blissfully unaware of the bloody chaos outside. Aaron listens with excitement as the butler shares embarrassing stories from the years the young lord spent at the monastery. Every funny detail makes the girl burst into a fit of giggles while she imagines her master being a clumsy little child. Garrison watches with a rare and gentle expression before noting how much the maid truly cares for the young master today. Her cheeks turn bright red as she confirms that anyone would naturally fall for someone as special as our silent hero. She describes her master as a wonderful person even though the boy is actually fighting for his life against the monsters. Irony tastes bitter as she mentions how kind he is as a dying mercenary gasps for air under a mountain of heavy bones. The girl says he is sweet at the exact moment a skeletal warrior obliterates a human target with a single vertical strike. Erin thinks her master is the sweetest soul alive since he shared those cookies with her earlier today in the mansion. Blood splatters against his cold face as he stares at the carnage without showing a single drop of human emotion. Skeletal claws tear through the air and send the mercenaries screaming into the dirt until their formation falls. Desperate warriors struggle against the relentless undead tide and the sounds of their pain fill the dark forest. That arrogant leader realizes his men are dying fast and curses his luck as the bones keep coming back for more blood. A twisted creature with a neck like a snake looms over its prey to finish the job once and for all tonight. Rage consumes the captain because he knows he must stop these monsters from regenerating before every single soldier is lost. His eyes lock onto the young master standing perfectly still in the distance like a ghost among the total chaos. Death of the summoner is the only way to end this nightmare and stop the army of the dead from moving right now. He leaps through the ranks of skeletons with a desperate hope that one strike will change their destiny today. The captain screams the boy's name and launches himself into the air with his blade ready to deliver a final blow. Enough playing dead, the captain bellows to prove that even a legendary demon can be finished for good today. Sharp steel catches the moonlight and the man swings with all his might to end the protagonist's life right this second. Purple light ignites deep within his pupils and the ancient power of the Necromancer analyzes every enemy movement. Memories of every technique he ever saw return to his mind before he strikes back with overwhelming demonic force. Shock fills the traitor's soul as he recognizes a legendary move he never expected to see from a weak child today. Purple energy cuts through the darkness as the meteor sword strike descends to settle this pathetic grudge once and for all. Blood sprays across the grass and Dalton stares at his own chest as the realization of his inevitable end sinks in now. His demonic gaze burns with a cold light as the protagonist declares that the final judgment for this trash starts right now. Shadows of the past fade into a dark sky and a new chapter of this epic journey is about to be written in blood today. Dalton coughs up more blood as the young lord stands tall over his defeated enemy with a look of absolute coldness. Memories of a previous life reveal how a single blade to the heart destroyed an entire army of the dead centuries ago. Legendary magi flows through his fingers because the ancient power of the Necromancer was never truly erased from existence. Destiny works in mysterious ways as he uses the very techniques of the Rainland family to protect his second chance at life. Hatred for his old rival fuels his soul and the blood of the enemy who killed him makes this new body even more powerful. Trapped in this new bloodline, the protagonist accepts that he can no longer escape the fate of the family he once hated. Pure confusion masks the face of the dying noble as he struggles to comprehend the cryptic words of the boy standing above. Life fades from his eyes and the silence of the forest consumes the last breath of a man who tried to play with fire. Cold wind blows over the corpse as the young master promises his old killer that a new era is finally coming for them. Ambition burns within his heart as the former devil decides to rebuild this broken family using his own two hands today. Everything goes blurry as his vision slowly returns to this dark and miserable world today. Pure darkness surrounds his soul and he wonders if this is finally the end of the road. Cold metal clamps down on his wrist to keep him trapped against the hard surface of a chair. Every attempt to shake his legs fails because the heavy shackles lock his feet firmly into place. Dalton gasps for air while sitting on a spiked throne that feels like a literal nightmare come true. A mysterious shadow approaches the prisoner and announces that his long sleep has finally come to an end. This is the afterlife created by the legendary necromancer Archimond himself to punish those who deserve pain. Confusion turns into absolute horror as the bully questions if he is actually standing before a dead god. Memories of his cruelty toward innocent animals play back like a twisted movie of his most shameful sins. Anger consumes the brat as he screams for his captor to release him before things get even worse tonight. Time freezes for a second as the realization of his own demise finally begins to sink in today. Visions of a sharp blade tearing through his chest return to remind him exactly how his life ended. Death already claimed his soul and now it is time for the massive weight of karma to strike back. Desperate pleas for mercy fall on deaf ears since the master of the undead has no room for pity. Blue soul fire erupts from his palm as the legendary necromancer prepares to deliver a final and eternal judgment. Shadows loom over the battlefield as the young master declares that the time for judgment has finally arrived tonight. Confusion washes over Dalton's face since he never expected his own hounds to turn into instruments of divine punishment. Those demonic beasts roar with a hunger that transcends the physical world as they prepare to feast on his corrupted soul. Every single soul he ever sacrificed returns to haunt him through the deafening howls of these spectral predators today. Cold sweat pours down his forehead because he finally realizes that there is no escape from this nightmare he started. Agony consumes the villain as the weight of his sins crushes his body into the cold dirt of this cursed hunting ground. Desperation drives the bully to beg for mercy, but the master of the dead only watches with a gaze of absolute indifference. A single tear of pure terror falls from his eye as the last bit of his pathetic pride vanishes into the dark abyss tonight. Blood stains his expensive clothes and the once proud noble now looks like a broken doll discarded in the middle of a forest. Klein stands tall over the fallen trash with the moon reflecting off his steel blade like a beacon of silent authority. His silver hair glows under the stars as he decides the fate of everyone who dared to threaten the legacy of his house. Loyal skeletons emerge from the void to await the next command from the man who conquered death itself long ago. Teal energy flickers around his fingertips as the protagonist prepares to reward the spirits that served him so faithfully. Chains of ancient magic shatter instantly to grant these tired souls the eternal peace they have been seeking for centuries. Sparkling particles drift toward the heavens and signal the end of a dark contract that bound the living to the dead. Dark energy swirls around him as the young master stands alone in a field of glowing blue embers tonight. Silence falls over the clearing since the former devil reflects on the heavy burden of a soul that refuses to vanish. True death only happens when bones shatter into dust, but fate somehow dragged him back to this world for a secret reason. Someone whispers from the shadows about his forbidden powers before the boy realizes he is no longer alone in these woods. Klein wonders if this mysterious stranger witnessed his entire transformation into a legendary necromancer just now. That hooded man refuses to reveal his identity as he gathers a glowing orb of pure spiritual energy in his cold hand. Dozens of restless souls rise from the cold ground to obey the command of this new and powerful threat on the field. Green smoke leaks from the mouth of a fallen soldier as his lifeless body becomes a puppet for a dark ritual. A glazed blue eye snaps open with a terrifying light to signal the birth of a new undead warrior under a different master. Shadows twist and groan as the hooded figure stands amidst a growing army of ghouls rising from the stained grass. Recognition strikes the protagonist as he identifies the ancient revival art used to manipulate the bodies of the dead. This enemy admits that Dalton was a total failure and those fresh corpses will serve a much better purpose in his hands. Vicious laughter echoes across the frozen peaks as a new shadow prepares to drown the entire continent in blood tonight. Aaron tries to share funny stories about the boy's childhood, but the atmosphere remains far too tense for simple jokes today. Dunkel grips the signal scroll with a worried look because he knows the young master is facing a danger he cannot see yet. A mysterious signal scroll rests in his hand because this item is only used when things go terribly wrong today. 3 hours passed without a single word from the forest and a cold sweat drips down the knight's anxious face. Sir Dunkel prepares his horse, but 2 soldiers block his path before he can even start the search for his master. These men demand that he stays at his post since the royal competition is still active deep within the woods. His sharp eyes narrow as he analyzes the situation because something feels completely off about these 2 guards. The blue crest of the Conwell family shines on their armor, revealing that these escorts belong to the enemy house. Betrayal hangs in the air as the commander realizes that Lord Dalton had a very dark motive from the start today. This veteran warrior warns them that he is the leader of the Rainland Knights and refuses to stand idly by anymore. Pure authority radiates from his cold gaze as he asks if they truly understand the consequences of their actions. Fear paralyzes the opposition as the 2 soldiers gulp while realizing they just challenged the wrong legendary knight. Turning his attention to the maid, he explains that finding young Master Klein is now his absolute top priority. Dunkel orders Aaron to return to the safe mansion immediately alongside the priest who was supposed to be here. Panic strikes his heart when the girl reveals that the mysterious priest actually vanished without saying a single word. Klein's previous warning echoes in his mind because that suspicious priest was never meant to be trusted by anyone. He curses under his breath and rips the magic scroll with his teeth to summon help before it becomes too late today. Someone speeds through the forest on horseback, realizing that the young master is in serious danger today. A massive army of shadows stands ready to crush anyone who dares to challenge their master in this cold field. Klein realizes his mana is completely empty and using any more necromancy right now is totally impossible for him. Sweat drips down his face as he struggles to maintain his composure against the overwhelming pressure of the enemy. The mysterious hooded leader orders his men to move forward and finish the job without any hesitation at all tonight. Kill young Master Klein right now, the villain screams as his army of darkness begins to march toward their target. Our hero mocks the idea that a simple revival art could ever be enough to take down a true king of the undead. A mysterious purple mark glows on his hand as he prepares to unleash a secret technique that nobody expected today. Screams of agony echo through the air as the true horror of the battlefield finally starts to sink into their minds. "You are totally finished now, you bastard," he mutters, and a terrifying light begins to gather in the middle of the field. Confusion strikes the hooded man as he realizes that something very unexpected is falling from the dark sky above them. A massive pillar of golden energy strikes the ground with enough force to shatter the earth and blind every soldier. Priest Garrison crashes into the middle of the fight like a holy meteor sent from the heavens to judge the wicked. His eyes glow with divine fury as he calls upon the power of the light to purge the darkness from this world. "Grant rest to the dead," he bellows as a massive holy explosion obliterates every single monster in the entire area. A massive shadow looms over the boy and tells him to relax because the reinforcements finally arrived at the forest. This hooded mercenary trembles while asking for the identity of the monster standing right in front of his eyes. Sharp winds whistle through the clearing as the mysterious man prepares to reveal his true face to these pathetic rats. Garrison Bierman steps forward and announces his official title as the legendary proxy of the Holy Order today. Legends tell of 3 human weapons known as agents who follow the Pope with absolute obedience and zero hesitation. These elite warriors are the only ones capable of wielding the sacred relics left behind by the ancient St. Gall. Each agent possesses the overwhelming strength of an entire fortress and can wipe out thousands of enemies alone. Pure panic strikes the mercenary as he struggles to breathe under the suffocating pressure of such holy energy. Blinding light erupts across the battlefield to obliterate every single target with the force of a falling star. That masked villain realizes he just came face to face with the strongest man of the entire church order right now. Klein watches the chaotic scene with a cold gaze because he finally understands the true scale of his family power. This scarred priest smiles at his young master and promises that no harm will reach him as long as he stands here. Deep growls echo from the shadows as the remaining undead creatures begin to lose control of their rotting bodies. Chaos erupts once again, but the holy light of the proxy keeps the darkness from advancing any further tonight. One terrifying monster lets out a blood-curdling scream as it prepares for one final charge against the holy commander. Garrison roars with a voice that shakes the heavens as blood splatters across his scarred face during this battle. That massive glowing book becomes a lethal weapon as he swings through the crowd and demands they tell the sinners. Flames of holy justice burn within his single eye as he orders every single survivor to ask and pray for forgiveness. This terrifying priest grants them a baptism of fire by slamming his power into the ground to end their pathetic lives. Pure light erupts to cleanse every soul of their sins as his enemies fly through the air like broken ragdolls today. His heavy boot crashes against the dirt with enough force to create a massive tremor that shakes the entire forest. Dust and rocks explode everywhere as the shockwave from his holy stomp obliterates the nearby grass in an instant. Absolute violence is described as mercy as he smashes his glowing tome into the face of another unlucky mercenary. Final judgment descends as the holy man delivers a crushing blow that finishes the last of the attackers on the field. One hidden agent watches the massacre from the bushes and wonders why a powerful church priest is protecting the boy. Corpses litter the ground as the mysterious figure realizes that he just witnessed a level of power that is far too high. Fear takes over his mind as the spy sprints away because fighting a high-ranking priest was never part of the deal. Feet scramble across the mud as he shouts that this situation makes no sense for a simple mission like this one. Suddenly his mask falls onto the grass as he trips over a branch during his desperate attempt to escape the area. A massive hand grabs the back of his head as Garrison asks where the little rat thinks he is going so fast tonight. Dalton screams in pure agony as his mind feels like it is being ripped apart by a divine force right now. Priest Garrison looms over him with a cold gaze claiming that his holy prayer is not yet finished today. Blood drips from his trembling eyes as the weight of celestial judgment finally crushes his very soul. Light explodes everywhere as the massive priest delivers a crushing blow to finish the sinner once and for all. Silence returns to the clearing as the silver-haired boy watches the terrifying display of holy power before him. One single eyeball rolls across the grass as a gruesome reminder of the absolute slaughter that just took place. Young Master Klein stares at the carnage while wondering how a man of God can be so incredibly brutal. This monster in priest robes just took a single step and shredded 20 enemies into tiny red pieces. Pressure from his massive aura feels like an invisible mountain pressing down on everyone still alive in this field. 20 bodies were turned into mincemeat in the blink of an eye without the priest even drawing a real weapon. Crimson stains cover his massive hand as his eyes glow with a light that feels more demonic than holy. Garrison claims he sensed the foul trace of necromancy and rushed over to investigate the source immediately. A twisted smile appears on his scarred face because something about this situation feels quite strange to him. That bloody palm rests on the boy's shoulder as the priest mentions the energy he felt during the battle. His icy glare suggests that the dark power he detected did not actually belong to that dead monster. Chilling eyes reveal the cold heart of an ancient necromancer hidden deep inside that fragile young body. Those bloodstained fingers prove that the young master is a predator who finally decided to show his true colors tonight. Dunkel races across the open field on his horse as he screams the name of the young master with pure desperation today. Fear takes over the veteran knight since he never expected to find the boy in such a terrifying state out here alone. Klein looks up with a tired expression as the heavy sound of galloping hooves finally reaches his ears in the dark forest. Internal injuries plague the protagonist because his weak human vessel cannot yet withstand the weight of such dark mana. His strength vanishes instantly and the boy collapses onto the cold grass while the knight shouts in total shock today. Frantic steps carry the veteran toward the fallen lord as the silence of the night finally breaks around them. Our hero mutters for the loud warrior to shut up because he only needs a shoulder to lean on after that brutal encounter. Panic fills the air when the captain asks about the location of the other noble who was supposed to be hunting right here. Shocking words leave his lips as he admits that he ended the life of the noble who dared to plan his assassination today. News of the brutal incident travels quickly to the majestic palace where the most powerful families gather for justice. A powerful hand slams against the wooden table with enough force to shake the entire foundation of this royal courtroom. Count Delcan Conwell erupts in fury as he refuses to believe the news about his precious son being a dirty assassin. High nobles watch the drama unfold as the desperate father claims his boy was a man of honor and loyalty until the very end. Someone suggests focusing on the real culprit instead of wasting time with these pointless questions today. This man reveals that the young lord never changed his testimony despite the long and intense interrogation. Official records prove 20 mercenaries were dispatched from the estate at the exact same time the boys disappeared. Fear grips the heart of Lord Conwell as he curses his men for leaving behind such obvious evidence of their crimes. Arguments erupt across the hall since nobody believes a weak boy with zero talent could ever defeat a trained knight. Rumors spread among the nobles because the Duke himself stated the protagonist possesses absolutely zero mana in his body. Desperation takes over as the villain realizes he is finished if the truth about the assassination attempt comes out. Lord Conwell changes his strategy and asks the crowd to remember the strange nature of the child sitting before them now. Everyone remembers the bizarre rumors surrounding Duchess Claire and how the boy claimed to be a demon since birth. Conwell demands to know how they can trust the word of a crazy child and frame his son as a common assassin. Screams of pure rage fill the room as the man accuses the protagonist of hiring killers and pinning the crime on Dalton. Sudden silence falls over the grand hall as a cold and familiar voice commands everyone to stop their nonsense right now. Klein walks through the doors with an aura of absolute authority that makes every single person freeze in their tracks. Our hero calmly explains how those mercenaries were turned into undead until Priest Garrison arrived to help him escape. Conwell shouts that the boy is a liar, but the young master simply looks back with a gaze that could kill a man. Klein flashes a wicked smirk as he wonders if the rumors about his ancient identity are actually true today. Tension fills the room as this old man grits his teeth and trembles before the overwhelming pressure of a monster. Deep within his soul he vows to restore the glory of his house and crush the vermin who defiled his legacy. Sudden knocks at the door interrupt his plans to erase the greedy branch families from existence once and for all. A mysterious presence apologizes for the delay as golden hair flickers under the bright lights of the Grand Mansion Hall. Commander Leia walks into the room with an aura of authority that belongs only to the strongest Holy Spear Knights. Our hero narrows his eyes and questions why this beautiful warrior appeared at both the demonstration and meeting. Voices clash about family politics until the leader confirms that this guest has his full permission to be here. Previous missions under her command justify her presence since Dalton worked with her order during his field time. She removes her coat with perfect grace and prepares to join the high-stakes discussion about the royal future. Her golden eyes hold a secret intensity that seems to pierce through every single lie hidden within this chamber. Their gazes lock for a split second and the boy realizes she might be looking for more than just politics today. This legendary commander raises her hand and requests a private conversation with the young master away from others. Confusion washes over his face since he never expected a direct approach from such a high-ranking member of order. The Duke grants his approval for a brief talk and warns the boy not to waste any time with this strange request. This situation feels beyond annoying since knights always act like total drama queens when they meet someone new. A sudden encounter actually feels like a massive opportunity because she might have 3 specific reasons for this call. Verification or suspicion or even a secret test might be the reason for this sudden meeting with his cold father. Every single path leads to the same destination as he decides that running away is no longer an option for a king. That fall wyvern family will become a perfect tool as he prepares to climb back to the top of this miserable world. Heavy boots click against the marble floor as a powerful presence prepares to greet the young master in the hallway. Silence fills the air as those soft lips remain shut until the tension becomes almost impossible to ignore. A mysterious girl steps forward and calls out to him with a voice that carries a very strange and seductive tone. Fear freezes him as she invades his personal space and asks if she can finally touch his body for a secret reason. Sweat drips down his face because he cannot tell if she is actually for real or just playing a dangerous game. Leia Rinpolwyvern is the legendary daughter of a great duchy and the absolute master of the sacred blue spear. Hideous monsters roar with hunger as they prepare to tear any human intruder into a million tiny pieces today. The warrior faces the entire pack without a single drop of fear because her skill level is on a different planet. Deep blue light ignites within her eyes as she activates a powerful mana technique to finish the battle instantly. Her spear strikes with the force of a tidal wave to obliterate every single beast standing in her path right now. Knight Commander Leia earned her fame by obliterating high-ranking monsters during a brutal suppression mission in the West. Blood stains the ground as she stands alone among the corpses of her enemies after a total slaughter in the deep woods. Every witness confirms that she finished the entire operation by herself without any assistance from the regular knights. A sudden turn reveals her sharp gaze as she demands the boy to stop wasting time and follow her lead through the halls. That icy beauty reminds him that they aren't even related by blood, so there is no reason for him to act so friendly today. Heinkel once mentioned that her mother was the second wife of a duke, which makes this entire family tree very confusing. Biologically speaking, they share zero connection because she is actually the daughter of the first wife from another house. Silence fills the air as the blonde commander mentions that her personal curiosity is finally getting the better of her now. Klein gasps as she suddenly lunges forward and grabs his clothing with enough force to keep him from moving away right now. Her face gets dangerously close to his as she asks for permission to touch his body with a very serious and cold expression. Confusion explodes as he screams about why she is making such a sudden and strange request in the middle of this hallway. Leia ignores his protest and grabs his hand with a firm grip to prevent the young master from escaping her investigation. Soft skin like a small child surprises her since his hands lack any of the scars usually found on a trained warrior today. Our hero wonders why she is feeling his palm, but the girl explains that elite swordsmen often hide their calluses very well. Tendons never lie, so she presses against his thumb to find the hidden proof of his secret training sessions in the dark. This mysterious girl leans in close and questions if our hero has ever held a real sword in his hands before. Her eyes focus on his smooth skin as she wonders how a weak boy defeated 20 mercenaries and a knight today. A whisper drops into the air as she wonders if some hidden dark power was actually responsible for that victory today. Klein pushes the girl away with a sharp movement because her intense gaze is starting to make him feel very uneasy. The blonde beauty is dangerous because she is actually looking for the legendary soul of Archimond hiding in his body. That sharp look in her eyes is meant to test his soul and gauge his reaction instead of just waiting for an answer. Hesitation will only confirm her dark suspicions, so the protagonist decides to be more confident than his opponent now. A sinister smirk appears on his face as he asks what she would actually do if he was truly that ancient monster. Unexpected laughter fills the air as she mocks the idea of a tiny boy being the most feared necromancer in history. Pure mockery fills her voice because there is no way a small brat like him could ever be a legendary devil in this world. Our hero stands completely frozen after being called a brat by someone who doesn't know his true and terrifying power. Shock washes over his face since his legendary pride is getting crushed by a girl who thinks he looks like a child. Rage makes him tremble as he asks if she meant to use a different word instead of calling him a useless little brat. Cold words strike his ego as she claims he lacks even a single ounce of presence to be a true lord of the darkness. Emotional damage hits his heart as she promises to give him her lips if a weakling like him ever defeats a real knight. Klein wonders what just happened as he struggles to process the strange actions of the girl standing right before him today. Sharp pain flares through his mind because the recent battle left his internal energy channels completely shattered and messy. Confusion grows as he follows Leia and wonders if her sudden help was just a dirty political move or a simple bribery attempt. Sunlight hits her golden hair as they approach the massive hall where the fate of the Rainland family will finally be decided. This beautiful warrior looks back with a cold gaze because she believes the legendary Archimond would never act so pathetic. Heavy footsteps echo across the marble floor as the guards announce the arrival of the second master and his mysterious guest. Everyone stares at the nuisance child who spent 7 long years locked away under the strict watch of the fanatical Holy Order. Delkin Conwell trembles with sweat dripping down his face since nobody in this room believes the boy killed his son in defense. The high-ranking noble demands to know the details of their secret conversation before the formal trial begins in this court. Steel sings as the young master draws a sharp blade as the blonde girl watches the sudden escalation with wide eyes today. Impact ripples through the ground as he slams the sword down to demand absolute silence from every single person in the room. Shock washes over the faces of the council because they never expected a mana-less loser to display such overwhelming authority. Focus shifts toward the man responsible for this mess as Klein points the cold edge of the steel directly at his throat now. Silence fills the massive hall as our hero suggests settling this dispute the traditional way through the brutal northern style. Eyes burn with the fire of a former Dark Lord as he officially challenges the powerful noble to a legendary trial by combat. Everyone freezes as the words trial by combat echo through the massive hall with a chilling and heavy weight. This ancient tradition from the north is used when a legal verdict seems impossible to reach for the High Council. Our hero explains that the winner gets everything they want after a brutal and final dance of sharp steel tonight. Evidence proves that the brat tried to murder him first, but the greedy count still tried to frame our protagonist. Klein admits he is actually Archimond and feels absolutely nothing for the woman who gave birth to this new body. Pressure mounts as the silver-haired boy demands an immediate answer from the sweating man standing across the room. Nobles whisper about the legendary tradition while the count realizes he has no way to escape this public trap today. Duke Rainland stands tall and guarantees that the upcoming duel will decide the final fate of both families. Paper crumbles as all previous evidence becomes useless since the ancient laws of the sword now take total control. Greed flashes in the villain's eyes because he knows the young master possesses 0 mana to defend his own life. A champion knight will be sent in his place since the villain wants to see the boy finished on the cold floor tonight. Cold words leave his lips as he tells the man to go to hell after witnessing the absolute defeat of his own son today. Acceptance of the challenge brings a 4-day countdown until the most anticipated showdown in recent palace history. Mysterious eyes watch from the side as the protagonist decides to use this trash as a stepping stone to the throne. Night falls over the estate while our hero prepares to completely overhaul this rotten family from the inside out. A massive scream echoes through the grand hall as someone rejects a dangerous proposal right now. Delin loses his mind because he cannot believe his little brother actually wants a trial by combat. Klein sighs with total boredom since he already heard this same warning about 10 times today. Shock fills the golden boy's face when he learns that their father already gave his official approval. This worried brother offers to fight as a champion, but the protagonist shuts him down instantly. Klein reminds him that their family rules the north only because of the Duke and his perfect heir. Sending a champion would only give those greedy branch families a legal excuse to eliminate the successor. Changing his reputation is the only thing on his mind as he prepares for this brutal test of strength. Our hero refuses to yield because he has his own secret reasons for stepping into that arena tonight. Memories flash back to the day a tiny baby arrived and changed the entire world for a lonely older boy. That small hand reached out and sparked a feeling of protection that would last for many long years. Delin remembers seeing a literal angel in that cradle before the Holy Order took his brother away. 7 years of waiting finally ended, but now he fears this duel will take his sibling away again. His hands grab those shoulders with desperate force as he tries to stop this suicide mission right now. Tears well up in his eyes as he begs the boy to listen carefully before everything goes terribly wrong. Klein watches the pathetic bully with a cold gaze, wondering why the arrogant brat started crying all of a sudden. The blonde warrior tries to speak as the atmosphere in the room remains heavy with the scent of coming battle. A messenger interrupts their conversation to deliver news about a champion chosen by the treacherous Count Conwell. Our hero asks for the name of this mysterious fighter as his brother stands there looking completely shocked. This newcomer is a disgraced knight named Randall who became famous for his brutal efficiency on the battlefield. Doors fly open with a loud bang as the presence of a true monster begins to leak into the grand hallway. That lion head on the wall watches as the messenger explains why this warrior was kicked out of the empire. Blood-red wine pours into a wooden cup while the legend of a man obsessed with slaughter continues to grow. Randall possesses an uncontrollable bloodlust that turned every single mission into a literal graveyard for his enemies. Huge muscles ripple as the warrior gulps down his drink surrounded by the broken bodies of his victims. Dark eyes glow with malice as he anticipates hearing the screams of the young Rainland Master very soon. Silver hair flows in the wind as our protagonist prepares to show this disgraced knight the meaning of true terror. A customized sword is finally delivered with a heavy warning about its lack of durability. The blacksmith warns that a single clash with a mana-infused weapon will instantly shatter the steel. Klein accepts the fragile weapon with a cold look before ordering his departure immediately. Our hero steps under the bright sky as the murmuring crowd expresses shock at his sudden arrival. Count Conwell mocks the young lord and proudly brags about his formidable Imperial Knight champion. Duke Rainland remains completely silent as the smug noble suggests sending the stronger brother instead. Klein scans the dusty arena while wondering where his opponent is hiding at this very moment. A colossal shadow suddenly towers over the young master as a massive force crashes onto the battlefield. The scarred monster named Randall steps forward and towers over the boy with an intimidating smile. This brutal giant remarks on his youthful appearance while looking down with absolute confidence. A giant hand reaches out to crush the young master's neck with absolute malice. Klein slips away instantly with a lightning-fast backward retreat that baffles the crowd. Spectators gasp in pure shock as the Count desperately mocks the boy for retreating. Randall assumes the boy is terrified, but the protagonist is actually just highly annoyed. The sudden touch triggers a dark memory of the cruel priest who tortured him in the past. Leia watches the arena from above, refusing to leave despite the warnings from her subordinate. The blonde beauty secretly hopes the boy wins so she can finally confirm his true identity. Our hero awkwardly clears his throat and claims he only retreated due to a stiff neck. The massive brute completely ignores his warning and heavily slams a hand on his shoulder. A terrifying dark aura erupts as the former necromancer glares at the giant with absolute wrath. Those mocking words hit a painful nerve as the scarred monster reveals a truly disturbing grin. A colossal fist rains down with murderous intent while the young master calmly unbuttons his heavy outer coat. Absolute devastation erupts across the arena floor as the giant's massive blow completely shatters the solid stone. Confusion washes over the scarred warrior when he realizes his giant hand only managed to catch an empty fabric garment. Gasping spectators scream in disbelief as the young lord seemingly vanishes into thin air right before their very eyes. Light footsteps gracefully touch the dusty ground, revealing the silver-haired boy standing completely unscathed. Our hero silently admits that a direct head-on clash with such raw physical power would be extremely dangerous. Del-Lin watches with a sweating face, wondering how on earth his fragile sibling can survive against such a brute. Del-Lin watches in pure despair, believing his little brother is walking straight to his death. Memories of their previous argument remind him that the entire family fate rests on this single duel. A sudden shockwave rips through the dirt as the battle begins to shift into high gear. The colossal warrior swings his massive blade with enough force to split a mountain in half. Purple light flashes in the dark eyes of the young master as he unsheathes his custom sword. Raw instinct warns the giant of a coming threat as the cold wind of death brushes past his neck. Randall suddenly catches the blade mid-air and brutally hurls the boy straight down to the earth. Our hero plunges his steel deep into the ground to slide backward and absorb the violent momentum. Spectators scream in sheer horror as the monstrous brute dives down with another earth-shattering punch. Steel clashes against raw muscle as the young lord barely holds his ground against the heavy pressure. A sinister whisper breaks through the noise as the giant demands to see the dark magic of his dreams. The brute smiles while mocking the legendary name of the greatest necromancer to ever walk the earth. An icy chill suddenly freezes the giant blood as he gazes directly into the abyss of a monster. Fear paralyzes his entire soul as the warrior finally realizes who he is actually dealing with today. Our hero feels highly annoyed and contemplates unleashing his dark magic to instantly slaughter everyone present. A sudden wave of primal terror washes over the giant warrior as his heart skips a beat. In a shocking turn of events, the massive brute desperately leaps backward to create safe distance. Spectators whisper in absolute confusion while cold sweat drips down the scarred champion face. A towering specter of the Grim Reaper briefly manifests behind the boy as a terrifying ominous aura. Count Conwell grits his teeth in pure frustration while the Duke silently observes with a sharp gaze. Klein calmly reassures his trembling opponent that he will not rely on any forbidden necromancy today. Our hero proudly declares his noble family name and vows to settle this entire match with his sword alone. His father and brother stare in absolute astonishment at this unexpected display of true warrior spirit. The entire Colosseum erupts into a massive roar of support while the evil Count begins to sweat nervously. Deafening cheers shake the stone arena as the spectators realize the young lord was never bluffing. The desperate brute tries to convince himself it was a fluke before channeling his full power into his blade. Realizing the boy has no mana, the giant unleashes his imperial swordsmanship by pushing his body to the limit. With a burst of explosive power, the towering warrior charges downward, aiming to obliterate the Rainland air. A massive wave of red energy slashes through the air as the young lord slips away with effortless grace. Purple light flares in the young master's eyes as he perfectly analyzes his opponent's technique and mana capacity. The Mad Knight swings his blade repeatedly, but Klein easily predicts the trajectory of every incoming strike. Infuriated by his target agility, the brute delivers an earth-shattering blow to crush his opponent once and for all. Thick dust envelopes the battlefield, but the colossal champion finds nothing but empty ground beneath his weapon. Panic grips the former knight as he realizes the boy read his movements and vanished in the blink of an eye. Descending like a silent shadow, the young master prepares to deliver a decisive strike from the blind spot. Klein's cold smirk reveals his perfect positioning behind the colossal giant's massive exposed back. The young lord unleashes the legendary meteor sword technique, slicing through his opponent with absolute precision. Spectators gasp in sheer disbelief as they recognize the profound style being displayed before them. Randall screams in agonizing pain as the devastating slash easily penetrates his thick defense. The brute struggles to comprehend how a boy with zero mana can execute such a flawless high-level attack. Stunned silence grips the arena as Leia watches the boy with a look of pure astonishment. Deep inside the grand estate, the Duke privately confesses his immense guilt and helplessness. His loyal advisor questions why the father would ever permit such a dangerous duel to occur. The grieving noble explains his desire to let the boy defend his late mother's honor. A sudden reassurance from the servant reminds his master of the young lord's hidden depth. In reality, the ultimate necromancer never enters a battlefield without ensuring absolute victory beforehand. The Duke stares in utter disbelief as he recognizes his son's flawless execution of their familial art. The legendary Rainland style relies on minimizing mana consumption to survive the harsh northern climate. Unlike the Imperial style, which unleashes massive bursts of energy like a hunting lion to crush its prey. Northern swordsmanship acts like a silent winter breeze that strikes down the target before they can even react. It represents absolute temperance, waiting for the perfect opening to strike with maximum efficiency. This ultimate technique allows the young master to bypass his lack of mana and still execute deadly strikes. A confident smirk plays on his lips as he declares his fragile style is more than enough to destroy this brute. Randall grinds his teeth in pure humiliation as his massive ego is completely shattered by the boy's mockery. An explosive red aura erupts from the giant body as he prepares to unleash his ultimate forbidden power. The panicked crowd watches in terror as the legendary knight prepares to unleash his deadliest secret technique. The giant channels a massive burst of crimson mana designed to seal his opponent's movements instantly. Randall roars in absolute fury while the young master remains completely unbothered by his desperate outburst. Leaping high into the air, the colossal warrior unleashes his full power for one final strike. Delvin screams in pure terror as he watches the monstrous red aura descend upon his little brother. Steel collides with earth-shattering force as the giant slams his glowing blade against the fragile defense. A sudden memory reveals that this sword was specifically designed to shatter upon contact with high-level mana. True to its purpose, the young lord blade instantly cracks under the immense pressure of the impact. The scarred champion smiles with twisted delight, believing he has finally secured an absolute victory. Instead of panic, a dark smirk plays on the young master lips as his master plan is perfectly realized. A solitary feather slowly drifts down, representing the ultimate weapon designed to hunt the mighty beast. The ferocious lion represents the imperial style, but it stands paralyzed by the sudden appearance of a simple feather. A colossal shadow of a hunting predator looms over the terrified beast, representing absolute domination from above. The cheap training blade snaps completely, leaving the young master seemingly defenseless in the dust. A devastating point-blank counter-slash cleaves straight through the giant heavy limb, sending his weapon flying. Sudden intervention halts the combat as the Duke steps forward to declare an official end to this insane duel. Seasoned knights watch in disbelief, realizing the young master deliberately baited his opponent to secure a victory. Whispers of a perfect victory ripple through the crowd as the silver-haired boy stands victoriously over his foe. The defeated champion wails in absolute agony as medical mages quickly rush onto the bloodstained stone floor. Unbothered by the gruesome scene, the young master casually asks if the severed limb can be reattached. Shocked healers quickly explain that the ruined arm is far beyond the limits of their basic recovery spells. Our hero silently laments the lack of magical progress over the centuries before his father suddenly calls out his name. The stern Duke deeply questions how a mere child can gaze upon such a horrific injury without showing any emotion. Panic suddenly grips the legendary Necromancer as he remembers he must still play the role of an innocent noble boy. Our hero quickly scratches his head, trying to figure out how a normal fragile child is supposed to react to this mess. Meanwhile, Count Conwell completely loses his sanity over the astronomical amount of gold he wasted on his useless champion. The stern Duke steps in, demanding the loser honor the agreement, but the desperate Count stubbornly refuses to accept defeat. A phantom blade of pure bloodlust suddenly grazes the noble neck as our hero locks his icy purple gaze onto his target. An invisible mountain of crushing gravity drops onto the arrogant lord, leaving him paralyzed with absolute confusion. Clutching his throat, the trembling Count falls to his knees as Klein issues an absolute command to confess his sins. The chilling whisper of the supreme necromancer promises to crush the traitor's soul under the eternal weight of his crimes. As the shadow of the Grim Reaper manifests behind him, the doomed noble finally realizes his life hangs by a single thread. Utterly broken by the terrifying illusion, the weeping Count desperately grovels on the floor, begging the young lord for mercy. Our hero activates a legendary forbidden necromancy technique that sends a deep chill down the traitor's spine. Utterly overwhelmed by primal horror, the arrogant Count collapses to his knees while begging desperately for mercy. Tears and sweat pour down his terrified face as he confesses to insulting the memory of the Grand Duchess. Stunned spectators watch in absolute disbelief as one of the branch family pillars completely crumbles. Raising his broken blade high, our hero prepares to make a grand declaration that will change his fate forever. The young master addresses the silent crowd, announcing his true purpose to set the noble family on the right path. He proudly claims his rightful place as the absolute challenger and undisputed victor of this grand trial by combat. High-ranking nobles look on in awe as the boy declares his heritage as the proud son of Grand Duchess Claire. Heinkel watches with silent intensity as the boy proclaims his status as the second son of the strongest knight. The young heir proudly shouts his name to the heavens, claiming his destiny as Klein Rainland before the entire arena. Meanwhile, a dark shadow creeps through the heavy wooden doors of a secluded sanctuary far from the battlefield. An old man offers a solemn prayer to the god of light, hoping for guidance along a perilous and painful path of shadow. Heavy footsteps echo through the holy hall as Garrison approaches Cardinal Norak to discuss their next secret move. Cardinal Norak questions the grim news of a mysterious necromancer attack on their surveillance target. The corrupt cardinal waves off the concern, claiming this chaos was always part of their grand design. He explains how spreading terror through rogue heretics will force the desperate populace to seek salvation. The mad priest justifies the incoming slaughter as a necessary sacrifice to restore their holy influence. Enraged by the absolute corruption, the scarred warrior suddenly grabs the cardinal by his throat. Garrison declares with deep disgust that a true servant of light has no business dealing with vile heretics. The suffocating cardinal gasps in absolute panic as the massive hand tightens with lethal force. Primal terror consumes his dying eyes as he desperately begs his silent executioner for mercy. Fresh blood splatters across the sacred face of the stone statue as absolute judgment is delivered. Garrison crushes the life from the corrupt priest, leaving his twitching body on the sacred floor. A cold voice suddenly echoes from the shadows of the sanctuary asking if the execution brought him peace. A pristine white figure walks over the bloody corpses mocking the warrior for killing his own allies. Archbishop Palamon L steps into the light flashing a sinister smirk as he references the warrior's secrets. Garrison glares with intense hostility questioning if this entire conspiracy belongs to the new arrival. The calm archbishop steps past the fresh corpse admitting he merely authorized the operation to gain information. Palamon brings up the primary surveillance target as memories of the brutal clash flash in their minds. Cunning Archbishop reveals that the forbidden use of necromancy always leaves a distinct trace behind. He presents a mysterious cross-shaped glass container salvaged from the slain heretic. This bottle holds the residue of two completely different factions of dark magic. Garrison struggles to process the existence of ancient soul manipulation magic. A startling revelation proves that a second dark mage was secretly operating in the shadows. Quietly, the archbishop instructs his ally to pay close attention to the true culprit. The target in question is none other than the second son of the legendary Rainland household. Untold secrets lie hidden beneath the innocent facade of the young master. In one final breath, the archbishop exposes Klein as the ultimate master of death.